Well, the stats are in, well, most predictions because Apple doesn't give us the numbers, but given some consumer reports many agencies have done, the iPhone XR was the best-selling of the 3 new iPhones that came out in 2018. This was not a huge shock for a lot of people, even though that phone got bashed on YouTube and a lot of tech enthusiasts labeled it as depressing or the most boring of all the new iPhones. Yet, Apple understands the general consumer market. They understand what the most massive amount of users are going to care about, and I think that proves their point, given the massive amount of sales they got out of that phone, even if, as a general trend, all 3 iPhones weren't selling as well as a year ago. It's an S year, and we're just coming off of the iPhone X supercycle, so it makes the most amount of sense that sales have gone down, particularly in China. But what does that leave in store for the iPhone XR, and how does the success of the iPhone XR affect the future of Apple's iPhone lineup? We'll be talking about all kinds of that sort of stuff today, starting now. So we've been seeing a lot of iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Max leaks thanks to OnLeaks and many other reporters out there giving us details on what the design is going to be, what features we should expect. But the details for the upgraded 6.1-inch LCD model have been kind of rare, kind of few. I kind of have to wonder why that is, given so many more people were interested in that more affordable option last year, but I guess they're likely not the ones on the internet watching the videos about it, so we're more interested in the OLED models, the models getting triple cameras, because we hover over the next iPhone launch like a hawk to see what kinds of features we're going to get. But my prediction is that because of the success of this new R series, which is for now only one phone, selling so much better than the XS and XS Max, that in a sense has become the regular line. It is no longer the flagship iPhones alongside the budget or slightly more affordable option. It is now the R series becoming the main one, becoming the flagship that most people are likely going to go out and buy. And now I think the OLED models and the models getting triple cameras and the ones we're all talking about right now in the leak community, those are becoming more and more the pro-end versions. These are the versions that us tech enthusiasts, or those of us who watch YouTube videos about iPhones, are most interested in, but that does not make it the majority. In a sense, it's kind of modeling the iPad lineup a little bit more, not in its distortion, but more in the fact that the $330 iPad is the most commonly sold one. It doesn't have the best features. Heck, it doesn't even have a laminated display, but the most amount of people who are going out and buying iPads are buying that one. And now we have the new 2018 iPad Pros, which have way better features. They've got Face ID, they got 120 Hz ProMotion, no home button. They're just overall more futuristic and cool. A lot of us are buying them, and a lot of us do use them. However, they are not the majority. These are becoming the pro-end models. So I think in 2019, in regards to what is the next iPhone going to be named, or what are they going to market it with, how's the branding going to work, it might actually this time start to make more sense for there to be a regular iPhone line and then the OLED models with the triple cameras, maybe higher end storage options, or perhaps even shipping with fast chargers. Those will be the ones that Apple could deem the pro models. These are for professionals who want all of the different camera options on the back, or want the biggest display possible, want that OLED display, want the thinnest bezels they can get on the latest iPhone, kind of like how the iPad Pros have the latest features and the thinnest bezels. But for the general consumer, this is not the go-to iPad. All I'm trying to say is in the way Apple markets these iPhones and the way they brand them, 2019 may be the year that they start deciding that the OLED models, the higher end iPhones, are for professionals, but we're mostly going to focus on the more affordable option because that's the one people are more inclined to buy. What changes will be coming with the iPhone 11R this year? For one, you should definitely expect a dual camera. We've had several analysts and several reporters saying that the success of the XR is definitely noted by Apple, and they want to build on top of that in 2019. The real question comes down, though, to will they add a telephoto lens like the iPhone XS series, or will they add an ultra-wide lens, which is being gained by the iPhone 11 and an 11 Max later this year? And in my prediction, if you had to ask me, I would guess that the iPhone 11R is going to be getting an ultra-wide lens because they saw the success of the XR not shipping with a telephoto camera. It would make the lineup more unified and easier to market all the 2019 iPhones if all of them shipped with that ultra-wide lens. And then the telephoto lens that'll be equipped to the 11 and 11 Max, perhaps to incentivize the pros, the iPhone Pro users, to get that model. Perhaps they could zoom in a little bit more like other smartphone companies are doing. A 3x zoom, 4x, or even 5x telephoto lens so that you could really zoom in when you need to. And for those zooms that aren't quite that drastic, then you can just stick with the regular middle lens, which a lot of people seem to prefer taking portrait mode shots with that lens on the iPhone XR, which bizarrely is still not a feature on the the iPhone XS and XS Max. If you want to take a portrait mode shot, you have to use the telephoto camera, which I'm a little bit confused by. Why not just add that software that you gave the XR via software update to the XS so that you could decide if you want to take a portrait mode shot up close or if you want to zoom out. I think that should be up to the user. Maybe we'll get that in iOS 13. But it is safe to say that those general iPhone buyers are not crazy about having a dual camera given the XR's success. So I think that means it's fair that you don't need to put a telephoto on the 11R. Even if that's one feature you guys were really hoping for, probably makes the most amount of sense that they would stick with the ultra-wide because that's going to be the big 2019 feature that most flagships are looking for. Plus, that's the way Samsung handled it with the Galaxy S10e. Yeah, if you buy out the full Galaxy S10 Plus, you'll get the telephoto, the ultra-wide, and the regular lens. But if you decide to save money and go with the S10e, you don't get a regular lens and a telephoto, you get a regular lens and an ultra-wide. I think given the Galaxy line competes heavily with the iPhone line, this would be a good position for Apple to be in for the 2019 lineup. You should certainly expect the A13 chip to be shipping with the iPhone 11R as well, as Apple cares a lot about longevity and about performance, and making sure that they have the latest custom Apple-made silicon in all three of the new iPhones, big, small, expensive, or slightly less expensive. I won't say cheap. They want to make sure all of those have the latest up-to-date chips, and that's likely why a lot of you will end up passing on the iPhone 11 or 11 Max to end up going with the 11R because you'll know, okay, it doesn't have OLED, okay, it doesn't have the highest resolution display, but I do know this is going to last me for a long, long time because I have a very up-to-date CPU. Battery improvements across the board are also to be expected, and there's also even some analysts suggesting that there are fast chargers being shipped with all three new iPhones this year, which, like I said in my slow charger video, I'm totally fine with. Perhaps the batteries are getting so big to the certain extent that they're okay with them degrading faster, but also keep in mind we got leaks of iPhones shipping with fast chargers before the iPhone X came out, and then it didn't end up happening. And then the following year they said, no, this year Apple's gonna ship them with fast chargers, and then they didn't. And now this is the third year in the row analysts are saying they're gonna ship with fast chargers, so do not get your hopes up because we've been trolled on this subject many, many times before. My only hope is that they ship it with USB-C to Lightning cable. I don't necessarily need a fast charger, but at least ship it with a cable that supports the latest gen MacBooks. I also am really hoping that Face ID is getting improved this year, and I assume that would be added to the 11R as well, not just becoming a feature for the OLED Pro models, because everyone uses Face ID, everyone takes advantage of that biometric, and with Face ID 2 being able to see you better from multiple different angles, basically the same Face ID sensors you find in the iPad Pro, so that it works upside down or in landscape. Being able to improve Face ID a lot this year I think will be a good incentive for people to upgrade who are not currently satisfied with Face ID in its current state, which is a good number of people. I'm also thinking that given the color selection was so vast for the XR last year, maybe they can build on that this year with adding perhaps a green option for people out there who want it, or a purple option for all those Thanos phone supporters. But yeah, typically if you're not adding a bunch of upgrades to your latest version of your iPhone, then it's probably a safe bet to add more storage, add more color configurations, because that can be a good way to ease people into the idea of upgrading their phone this year. I also think you should expect the design of the iPhone 11R to not look so much like an iPhone X and a little bit more like the iPhone 11 leaks we've been seeing. There's already a few mock-ups, a few renders that showcase the camera module on the back being the same color as the glass itself. The models probably don't accurately portray how the 11R will look until OnLeaks himself starts tweeting out renders of how he anticipates to look. They're probably not going to be very accurate, but it is something to expect given they want the iPhone lineup in 2019 to try to remain unified and clean and look like they were all designed in the same similar manner. But yes, as I've mentioned before, it's not going to be a huge amount of upgrades this year, but to the people who weren't entirely comfortable with the status of the iPhone XR, the 11R might be enough to push them over the edge and upgrade, because you're getting that ultra-wide lens, which is something even the Pro models will be getting. You're likely getting an even faster chip than the A12, better battery life performance, and maybe when you bought an iPhone 8 or a 7 a few years ago, you saw the XR and just said, you know what, that's not enough for me, but the speed, the battery improvements, and the camera enhancements might be enough to convince a lot of people to upgrade. So yeah, smartphone sales as a whole are down, but Apple's constantly going to be trying to find that middle ground of where their new average is, how often people are upgrading, and I still imagine a good number of people are going to be upgrading their iPhones in 2019 because a good number of people didn't upgrade their iPhones in 2018. So all the 2018 buyers have already purchased theirs. A lot of them may skip out on the 2019 models, but kind of like Leapfrog, a lot of 2017 buyers skipped out on the 2018 models, but they'll be upgrading in 2019. Let me know what features you care the most about on the iPhone 11R. What are you hoping that Apple pushes in their flagship phone? Is it 1080p? Is it an OLED display? I I imagine it's still going to be LCD, so don't get your hopes too high. But personally, with the success they got out of the iPhone XR sales, I think they're just going to stick with a non-1080p display again, because the market that phone is catered towards, that market doesn't care if it's 720, 1080. They're happy with the display and its pixel density as it is. So that's why I'm guessing Apple's hearing all those criticisms from people on the internet and saying, hey, you know what? If you want a high resolution display, we have iPhones that do that, and you're welcome to buy those. But to the people who don't care about that kind of thing and just want the price as low as possible, but still having flagship features, then the 11R will be welcome for them. Anyway, all that good stuff. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.